broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV. Today, I am by myself. My co-hosts are unfortunately not here, but we are going to recap Candidly Nicole Season 2, Episode 5, and it's called Ex-Girlfriend. This was definitely one of my favorite episodes. I thought it was going to be a little bit weird because last week we were talking about how, recently her episodes have been, a little bit not too good, but this one I thought it was super hilarious, so I just want to get into it. But before we do, if you guys are on Twitter, please make sure to follow me at Jordana_Morphin. I'll be on my phone, so if you guys have any questions or, want to chat it up today, I'm all by myself, so, we can have a one-on-one conversation. But pretty much this episode started off with Kelly and Nicole, and they were gardening, and Nicole, sometimes I don't understand her, but she talks about the randomest things, but they're gardening and she just says, "Hey Kelly, it's time for me to go get my legs waxed." And Kelly is kind of surprised that she gets her legs waxed. I don't know why. I think that's normal. I do that. But apparently laser is the new thing. And she's telling her how, she should get her legs lasered. And Nicole feels a little weird about it because she's been going to the same waxing lady since she was like 14. And before that, it was her mom's waxing lady, and her name's Iko. And it's just so funny because she's nervous. She doesn't want to break up with her waxing lady. But Kelly tells her, it's time. I think you're going to laser better. And I don't know, pretty much she doesn't want to do that. But they go to Kelly's laser lady named Natalie, and Kelly wants Nicole to experience what laser's all about. And this is one of my favorite scenes because Nicole is freaking out and she's not even getting it done. And she tells Kelly how it's probably the most painful thing ever. And she's holding her hand like if she's going to have a baby right now. And Kelly's like, Nicole, you need to relax. It's just laser. And Nicole still doesn't know if she wants to get laser done. But it's just really funny. And she's asking Natalie all these questions. If it hurts, if she can take medicines before it, what can happen. And pretty much she tells her, hey, this is normal. A lot of people get it done. And so Kelly's telling her, Nicole, it's time. Go to your waxing lady, Iko, and tell her that you're going to try something new. So we end up at the waxing nail salon, and Nicole walks in and tells Iko that, she tries hinting to her, hey, I don't know about this relationship we have anymore. So she treats her relationship with her waxing lady as if it was like her relationship with her husband. And she's telling her, I don't know if I want to continue this. I think it's time for change. And she's pretty much just going off. And Iko doesn't understand what she's saying. She's just like, okay, yeah. So are you going to get your legs waxed? Or, and she's telling her how her little nephew, she drew her a picture, and the picture was of Nicole and her waxing lady. So Nicole has this whole relationship with Iko and her family. She's known her since she was, like I said before, 14 years old. So she's having a really hard time pretty much breaking up with her and doesn't do it. And she leaves again, and she ends up at her therapist. And she's sitting there with her therapist, and this cracked me up. She's sitting there and she's telling her therapist, I've been having a really hard time. I've been drinking a lot. I think it's time for a change. And just going off, if you were in a relationship, what would you say? You'd probably say the same thing. But her therapist thinks that she's talking about her husband, and he's telling her, maybe it's time for, things to happen. Maybe you guys need to go to therapy together. And Nicole's like, no, I'm not talking about my husband. I'm talking about my waxing lady. And I think that's just really funny. I mean, I don't know who would ever go into their therapist saying, hey, I need to talk to you about breaking up with my waxing lady. That's not normal, but she does. And when she does say that to her therapist, he kind of looks at her like she's crazy and is like, no, Nicole, what are you talking about? But at the end, he had a really good, he had good advice and tells her, hey, Nicole, it's time to just be honest with her. Just be honest and tell her you want to change. I'm sure she won't take it hard. And she's like, no, like, I don't believe it. And, Nicole Richie, how she gets. She's a drama queen. And of course, she is a drama queen because after that, she ends up going to her waxing lady. And when she's there, she tells her, she's like, hey, Iko, I think it's time for a change and it's time for me to leave this behind. And Iko's like, what are you talking about? And of course she goes, it's time for me to leave this all behind and try something new. And I want to go into laser. And I think what I thought was so funny, but it's also so Nicole Richie, is how she says, yeah, you're not gonna be mad at me. Like Nicole really thinks that her waxing lady's gonna be super upset with her, but that's not the case at all. She's just, she's just kind of like, yeah, like if you want to try laser, like go ahead, you should try laser. And Nicole still doesn't understand if her waxing lady, Iko, is okay with it. In her mind, she thinks that Iko's taking it really hard, but Iko's just like, this isn't a big deal. Like, if you want to go, then you go, do your thing. So when Iko says bye to her, she stays at the same salon and she's getting her manicure done with her best friend Kelly. And Kelly's kind of telling her, hey, like how did the conversation go? And Kelly is like, I told you Iko wouldn't have a big problem with this. And Nicole, of course, drama queen, is saying, Iko took it so bad and it was just so hard for me. And for her, I just don't think she took it lightly. But it's obviously Nicole who's not taking this whole breakup very lightly. And so when Iko comes out of the room, she had a different client come in. She's being super dramatic when she's getting her manicures done. It's something that probably I would do, anyone would do when you're in this. This scene was like a high school relationship. She's sitting there and with her best friend, and they're trying, when you see your ex-boyfriend, oh, there he is. Oh my God, make sure he doesn't look at me. But then you try to get his attention. You're like making, noises, or I don't know. She was just being super dramatic and trying to get Iko's attention. But Iko was with her other client talking to her. But this was so funny. She starts coughing. She starts, making noises. And Kelly's telling her, come on, Nicole, you're being so dramatic right now. What are you doing? Nicole's like, no, I'm not being dramatic. Is she staring at me? I think she's ignoring me and saying all this stuff that, like I said before, it's like a high school relationship, but it's a relationship with her waxing lady. Like, I don't know who has a relationship like that with her waxing lady. I definitely don't. But, she's being super dramatic. And then Iko, she stops talking to her client. And when she starts going back into her room, she's like, hey, Nicole, like, you're back. And she's like, yeah, doing my thing. But she starts, I don't even know how to explain this. She kind of wants to get Iko jealous. It's like, yeah, I'm having the best manicure with my manicure lady, having the best time ever. And Iko's like, yeah, cool, no big deal. And, for Iko, it was this whole episode, Iko did not care. She was so, she has a bunch of clients. But to Nicole, this is a relationship that she's had for over probably 15 years. So to her, it's actually a relationship. And I'm wondering if people out there actually do have relationships with their like manicure or, hair lady or waxing lady. If you do, let me know. But it's just so funny. And then, towards the end, we see them back at Kelly's house, and it's Kelly and her friend and Nicole, and they're just having a good old time in the kitchen. And here we go again. Nicole is venting and she's sad and she's questioning her relationship with Iko, saying, I just don't understand how she's not taking it as hard as I am. How is this happening? And Kelly is fed up with her at this point. I would be fed up with her too. Who gets so into something like this? But she does, and she says, she can't get over the fact that Iko isn't as upset as she is, and she just doesn't get over it, and she's so dramatic. And at the end of it, she calls I don't even know what you would call this. She has a burning, I guess you would do this if you had an ex-boyfriend and you didn't want any of his stuff anymore. You'd burn all his stuff. But she has that with her friends and for her waxing lady. So they're all sitting outside, and they turn on the fire pit. And our friends are looking at her like she's crazy at this point. What is going on? And Nicole starts, I don't even know, she starts taking things out. And she's throws in pills into the fire pit, and then all her friends ask her, what are these pills that you're throwing in? I don't know who takes pills before they get waxed, but apparently she doesn't do well with pain, so she takes them. And then she throws a CD. This part I thought was just a little crazy of her. She made a CD, and her friends ask her, did you make this CD? Or did Iko make the CD for you? And she says, no, I made the CD. So, she's being over dramatic. It's Nicole. This episode reminded me a lot of the episode where she was at the art museum and she did the whole thing with her dad and the sculpture and how dramatic she was being. It was the exact same thing, but it was with her waxing lady. It was she was breaking up with her dad, being super, emotional of how her dad was with her when she was young. Dramatic. Same with her waxing lady. So again, starts throwing all this stuff in, and the last thing she throws in is pie, because I don't know if I mentioned it before. I think I forgot to say it, but when she went in originally to tell Iko that she was gonna, break up with her, but she doesn't. At the end, when she's about to leave, Iko gives her a pie and tells her, hey, me and my family made this for you. And so she's I need to strip away this pie. I'm never eating pie again. So she throws this apple pie. Who would throw apple pie? I love apple pie. But she throws it into the fire pit, and she just kind of lets everything burn. And while she's letting everything burn, she starts reciting a poem. Again, back to the art museum. She's reciting these poems, being dramatic. Everyone's over her at this point. Saying, everyone's what are we doing here? We're wasting all our time. But yeah, she ends that, and she says, hey, I feel so much better, telling her friends, I think it's time. I'm going to get laser. This episode, I just found it so funny, but like other episodes, I think that we were talking about before, every other episode is very relatable. This one wasn't as relatable. I don't know if you would really ever break up with your wax lady. If that ever did happen, you just probably wouldn't go back. But it wasn't as relatable, but it was really funny. That's why at the end of it, she tells Kelly and Jamie, I feel free, I feel liberated. But that doesn't happen, because right when the episode ends, she tells them that, she's done, it's time for laser. And the episode ends, and we go back to the salon. We don't see them, but she says, hey, Iko, I missed you. So obviously she went back to see Iko. That means she wasn't over it. She rekindled her friendship with Iko. She's known her since she was a little kid. Apparently she knows her whole family too, so she's never letting go of that relationship, which I thought was super funny. But yeah, and then each episode, like I said before, it just gets better and better. We had a little, in the middle of the episodes, it was a little bit, they were getting a little boring, but I think they're picking up again. So hopefully she keeps it up. But I guess we'll just go into predictions now, because it was a very short and simple episode to go over. But we see I think right before the episode ends, we see a clip for next week's, and we see she wants to be a neighborhood watch. So, I don't know why she wants to do this, but she wants to be a neighborhood watch, and she goes in with her neighbors, and they start like a little party at her neighbor's house, and they have people come, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I just have a feeling that they're going to get so fed up with her I have a feeling that maybe her neighbors are going to start hating her a little bit. I'm not too sure. But I think that's pretty much it for today. Make sure to subscribe and follow AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. And please make sure to follow me at Jordana_Morphin. And if you guys want to tweet us, hashtag ABTV Candidly Nicole. And hopefully next week my co-host will be back so we can have a grand old time. So make sure again to subscribe and follow AfterBuzz TV.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.